So welcome back. We're already in the middle of this class on hard advice for death and dying. So imagine that the time is really going by very quickly, as it does. So we'll go ahead and I'll just set a motivation for everyone to just reflect for a moment on why you're here and what you would like to achieve out of listening to this talk for the next hour and a half or so. So really it is a miracle, how wonderful, how amazing to be here right now in this perfect human rebirth, to be alive at a time like this. How wonderful that all the causes and conditions have come together to have time available to come into this room, this class, and to have the interest to go deeper into training in the mindfulness of death. And may whatever I gain from these lessons increase my self-awareness. May it be of benefit to my mind. And in that way, may I be of benefit to others. So we should set a motivation like that. So just think of that for a moment, a minute or two. And then with that, then we'll recite our prayers to begin. So if you can please, Sila, call up the prayer section. Okay, and then as usual, we start with offering a mandala of the most sublime and excellent offerings, actual and imagined, and offer it to the Buddha or to who we believe in, have faith in. So this is usually done in relation to making a sublime offering to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And we often think of that as being inseparable from our spiritual guide. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun, and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha land and offer it. May all transmigratory beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niyatayami. And then next, we do a short refuge and bodhicitta prayer. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my merits of giving and other perfections. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my merits of giving and other perfections. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Okay. And there's more people here in the room. So welcome again, once again. Good evening, mostly, I think, to all of you. And from my side, good morning, a bit cloudy in the sky, maybe some rain expected in this part of the world. Okay, so I'd like to just start by reading out two lines from The Foundation of All Good Qualities, a most precious Lamrim prayer composed by Lama Tsongkhapa. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. So just like, bubbles in water, whether you see it in a glass, in a drinking glass, or in the ocean, just think of how that is an analogy for the transient nature of ourselves and of our lives, and that it quickly fizzles out. I came across an English word that I really liked very much. I like very much, and it's to evanesce, Evanesce, to evanesce. And I mean, just like a water bubble that just kind of evanesces, it dissipates, right? And so we should make the most of the time that we have while we can, while we are still alive. And already previously, we looked at the first of the three roots. If we really want to contemplate and, develop our mindfulness of death, that the first one is to know that death is certain and that everyone dies, no matter how high or superior, or even our precious gurus show that aspect, the Buddha showed that aspect. So no one escapes death. And we went through the points on that. And, especially thinking how our life is continually decreasing and not lengthening day by day. Yes, of course, there are ways to prolong life a little bit, through medicine and such interventions, and even through special prayers and things like that. But eventually, still, it will come to an end. And then therefore that, the way we live our lives, there is actually very little time that we devote to thinking about death, being mindful, being interested in spiritual development, and so forth. So the second root that we're going to look at now is that the time of death is uncertain. And for each of these three roots, it's like mentioned before, that there are 3 points under each of these. And then at the end of that, we should come to a decision, such as, when we think that death is certain, then we should come to the conclusion that I must practice Dharma. I must, undertake or engage in spiritual practice. Let's say if someone is a believer in a different faith, right? So here, time of death is uncertain, and really to reflect on the impermanence of that. And the first point under this is our lifespan is not fixed. Our lifespan is not fixed. It is not definite. And in that, along that line of thinking, then that analogy of the water bubble is really quite helpful, because water bubbles just kind of randomly seem to rise up, let's say in the ocean, or in a pool of water, and they just kind of randomly go about. And sometimes maybe little children would like to play a little game, and they poke the bubbles and see the bubbles bursting. So those bubbles really in the water come about through causes and conditions. And when those causes and conditions are exhausted, are finished, then the lifespan, so-called the lifespan of that water bubble, is also finished. And that is the very nature of our existence, that things come and go, like the water bubble, it will eventually fizzle out. And I like this quotation from Shantideva, from Engaging in the Bodhisattva Deeds, or previously published as the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Remaining neither day nor night, this life is always slipping by and never lengthening. Why will death not come to one like me? And, in that sense, that captures the idea that death is certain, but also that it is not a definite kind of period of time, and eventually that's what will occur. So we've really had the great good fortune, as I said at the beginning, it's a miracle that we have lived up to now, given all consideration of different factors for being alive. And, it's good to kind of be aware that we accumulated a lot of merit in order to be born human right now, to have the faculties that enable us to, have intellectual understanding, to have emotional empathy, and, to come with that whole package, so to speak, and to have the opportunity to transform our minds, our lives, if we so wish, right? So it's been a huge amount of merit that we accumulated in the past to be able to have this right now. But just like that analogy from the Buddha of the turtle, from the bottom of the ocean coming up once in a very, very long time and poking its head out through the surface on the waves, and then its head just happens to go through a golden ring that so happens to be bobbing on the surface. And what are the chances of that? So that is something to always remind ourselves how precious this is. And while we have lived already however many years, whether just a few decades or advancing more and more, then we've used up a lot of our merit. We've used up so much just to have all the nice things, whatever pleasant experiences and enjoyments that we've had. This uses up our merit continuously. So that's something to keep in mind, that going step by step forward in our lives, that, it's going by, and something needs to be done on our part, because nobody can do it for us, not science, not the promise of immortality or any of those kinds of interventions. So, that's what I thought to say about that first point, that our lifespan is not fixed, and that the kind of way that we regard ourselves as being permanent, actually we're very impermanent, changing moment by moment. I do have to kind of amend something that I said the previous week about Buddha's teaching of this part on how, whatever we conceive to be permanent is actually in the nature of impermanence. And that actually is taught in, that Buddha had taught it when he taught the first turning, the Four Noble Truths. And I had kind of like put it as the last teaching, because there is another teaching and they sound very similar because they tend to go in four lines. So, it's also mentioned before Buddha passed away, which goes to show that it's important in the beginning and it's important also at the end. All right. So the second point is that there are many causes for death, isn't it? And this is something that we can start in our minds to kind of go through, what kind of examples that we can bring up. we can see this with our own eyes, from a distance, through the TV or computer or whatever, or we hear about it, people talk about these things, and yet that we often take this kind of thing for granted when it comes to, relating to our own selves, right? That, well, yeah, it happens to other people, do we pay very much attention to how this occurs or might occur to ourselves? So, at the back of our minds, we do have this awareness that, yeah, death could happen anytime. And that's why we have this practice generally of taking up life insurance, health insurance. It's very important, isn't it? In order to get medical attention. And then how detailed those documents are, and they also give you a whole long list of things that are covered due to death by ... right? And then, whether the one that you purchased covers all of those points, covers all the bases in that sense. So, at the back of our minds, we are aware of this importance of protecting our precious lives, isn't it, from death or disability in that sort of official sense, right? Or medical sense. But whether we live in full awareness of this life being really impermanent is another matter, I mean, if you just look back at people that or even yourselves, that sometimes, like sometimes, you're just saved by, I don't know, just something in your karma, Like sometimes I step off the curb of a road, a walkway, and step out, and then there's actually a car passing by quite close and almost quite quickly. And, if it had just been a split second later, I might have been in front of that car with something unfortunate occurring, isn't it? But just by a split second, that didn't happen. But it could have, right? And, like we have this thing of saying, like, see you later, see you next week, see you tomorrow. But who knows whether we will see each other again. Just to recall an experience with someone from within my Buddhist circle, me and another friend, we had gone to the airport, departing on a trip to India, probably India. And then, maybe more because of my friend, he's a monk, and there's a few people that I think he's closer with. They came to see us off at the airport. We had a breakfast, and then there was this friend who had been attending classes together. We had gone to Dharma classes at our center for many years, and she had treated me to breakfast that morning, and then at the departure area, she and the other friend, they waved, they waved and said goodbye. And I think the funny thing is sometimes we do have this kind of split second premonition, and I might have had the feeling that I had said goodbye to this lady, that it kind of just came very quickly. And while I was away in India, which was for a couple of weeks or a bit long trip, then the news came that she had passed away. She had passed away at home. She was sitting, according to her relatives, I think, she was sitting at home on her sofa, and she was just looking at her phone and sending out a message or two or something. And then she just turned and collapsed, and that was that, and she was gone. I think it must have been a heart attack, probably quite a heavy heart attack. And there it was, farewell to yet another friend, right? So yeah, we have these different experiences, with people that we know. We say goodbye, and it really is goodbye for this life, right? But whether we think that, it's our turn, well, we don't really give much thought to that. But here in this, under this topic that we're discussing, then, this is something that maybe we ought to pay greater attention to. So then the third point is that our bodies are fragile. Our bodies, in fact, are extremely fragile. And this is really, it goes together with that idea, that point, the previous point, that there are many possible causes or numerous causes for death, right? So it's just, again, like that water bubble. A water bubble is really quite fragile, evanescent, right? There's a little poke or a little just, disturb it a little bit, and then poof, it's gone, right? So we really should then take a good look at our own physical selves, right? Our bodies, made up of flesh, bones, skin, and fluids, blood, right? And how kind of is not as strong as we would like to think, even if, there's someone who is very well built and, stands with, good muscles and strength and those kind of things. Yet we're all essentially made of the same substances. A human being easily perishes from any kind of injury or illness. It could be big and kind of obvious, or it could be very, very small and almost imperceptible. So it really is a miracle that we're able to survive on and on after all this time. So let's look at a couple of these kind of examples, thinking about how our bodies are really very delicate in that sense. That, people die from a virus, right? A virus is really, just something you look under a microscope and it's just micro tiny, isn't it? And we just have to look back a few years ago to the pandemic, when this was really displayed very clearly for us across the world. Millions and millions of people died around the world due to that pandemic, right? To the COVID-19 virus. It's small, but then it multiplies or whatever, but it starts with something really tiny. Or some people, they eat something and there's some kind of a bacteria that happened to be in the stuff that they ate. And then the next moment, they're in hospital, and the next moment they die from it. And this also just a month, or just about a month or so ago or earlier, this happened to someone's mother, an older lady. And she was one moment having a nice meal, then had just gone home or something, lay down, and then she had to be rushed to emergency, and then she was in a coma, and then I think she didn't really come out of it, right? So, or there's just a tiny prick in the skin from a tiny bite from an insect, or even like a bee sting. Some people, their bodies just can't cope with these things, and then they die from it, right? And nobody expects it, isn't it? Like just maybe walk out somewhere and then the insect flies in from somewhere, and it all seems pretty random in that sense. Or someone just uh, falling off or falling down at the wrong place at the wrong time. And just from the impact, they lose consciousness, they're knocked unconscious, and then it's fatal. It takes their life away, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be falling off a cliff. It could just be someone even slipping, in the shower, or various kinds of events that just unexpectedly, it seems, that it happened. Yeah, so we really should think of this, that the body is indeed very fragile, although we work very hard to protect it. When breathing out, we never think that we might not breathe in again. So, what is the conclusion that we should arrive at from thinking along these lines for this second point, which is that the time of death is uncertain, and it pertains to oneself. We're not thinking of the next person right now. We're looking at this in relation to training our own mind, right? It is to practice Dharma now, right? Not later, but now. Practice whatever you spiritually have faith in now and not later. I must practice virtuously right now. So that should be the decision that we come to if we're sitting or walking around, reflecting, meditating, thinking this over in our mind. This is the conclusion to come to. So, in life, we work very hard for the things that we want, and we have no resistance, so enthusiastic, able to invest a great deal of our energy, our time, blood, sweat, tears in that sense, in following and trying to achieve certain kinds of goals in our lives. Usually, as I already brought up, suggested to you all, it's because of following after our attachment, and we hold very strongly with our attachment, including to our beliefs, our ideals, or other kinds of motives that we might have. And due to holding on strongly to various of these beliefs or ideas, then we get into arguments, and get into disagreements with other people, other parties, and even get into fights, or ends up in fights or violence, right? Physical violence, or even just trading words with each other, and it escalates into something quite damaging, right, to the relationship, and also to ourselves. But we don't really think about it being damaging to ourselves. Because we do lose a lot of sleep, when we're trying to achieve these kind of goals, isn't it? We want to win, let's say we want to win a particular dispute over someone else, right? And then, because you can't sleep, then what happens? You have to take medication or do something to help you to sleep. Can't sleep well. You toss and turn, and and then it affects your breathing, or things like that. There's physical kind of symptoms that kind of you can sense, isn't it, when one is kind of in a tight situation. And for sure, what happened to peace of mind, because we're just very much involved with wanting to get our way, isn't it? And due to that, right, whatever it might be, arguments, disagreements, words and, fist fights or whatever, um, a lot of negative result is created, isn't it? From fighting and quarreling, we accumulate negative karma. I mean, it follows that law of cause and effect, even on a very, just talking on it in a very general level, and we forget about this idea of having a good heart, or having compassion, or trying to see the emptiness, the wisdom behind it. All of that just goes right out of the window in those situations. And some of these situations, for certain people, it really dominates their whole life up till the point that they die, right? And that really is, holding such a strong grudge, and dying with holding a grudge. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he sometimes, because he taught in English, and that was so wonderful to hear him directly teach in English. And sometimes I and others couldn't really make out the words quite so easily. So when he said grudge, then he realized that it was maybe not so clear, and he said, a garage, not a garage. Yeah, not a garage. It's with a grudge, right? And all these kind of means that where is the virtuous merit? Where is the good karma, the positive results that we long for? We use it all up by having these kind of conflicts, worry and anger arising, and where is the merit? It just fizzles out and is replaced by something really negative. So therefore, by thinking how easy it is actually to lose this life, to die actually, reflecting on the fragile nature of our own body, then if we think this through, wouldn't it be better if we would take better care of our minds, to take care of our minds, and to make this a priority, and to do something about it right now, and not later, and not to keep putting it away, So, if just, it's not really too difficult, isn't it? The kind of points that make up these meditations on death, because, it's easy for anyone to relate to, but it's just about really letting it sink in, really completely having it make complete sense to us, and then to do something about it. So that covers this point, right? That the time of death is uncertain. So then we've looked at death is certain, the time of death is uncertain. Then what should be the third point to look at? So at the time of death, this is the third point, the third root. At the time of death, nothing helps except spiritual practice, except the Dharma, right? Except the Dharma. And here there are three further points to examine. Our possessions cannot help. Our friends and relatives cannot help. And this body that we have also cannot help. So let's go through each of these points now. So the first one is wealth and possessions and, whatever enjoyments, pleasures can't help, all the years and the effort, the energy put in, throughout our lives into accumulating what we have, right? We really have a lot of interest, in looking for things that we need, that bring us comfort, that we take pleasure of. Hours and hours of, checking, is this one better than that one? Should I buy this one? Should I get this one? Should I use this? Or if you have a collection of something, then should I save this for later? Should I take it out only for a special occasion? Or should I use it now? But then if I use it now, something might damage it or it'll get old really quickly. So it's a lot of like fuss that we make over things that we have, whatever amount. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be very wealthy kind of people, or even someone who has less, just average kind of person in that sense, right? Whatever it is, none of these objects will be of any use to us when we die. When we move on through death, we will leave everything behind. This kind of slogan, and leave everything behind, like on my trips, I take Singapore Airlines. It's well known in the world as like it's supposed to be a good airline. And then they have this really high-tech video nowadays with all the digital, gloss and everything. And then the attendant takes you through, they narrate you through this safety features. And, like if there's in an event of an emergency, how you should act, what you should do. And you're supposed to listen and follow those instructions, right? So there's one line where they say, and leave everything behind. and that just kind of comes to my mind that, yeah, really, if you're about to jump out of an aeroplane, to leave everything behind, you really hope to at least take your life with you, but we'll be thinking, oh, I need my passport, I need my ticket, or something like that. So in this recent publication from Lama Zopa Rinpoche and Lama Yeshe's teachings, right, the Lamrim Year book, which goes through the whole Lamrim, it's really nice to read. The poorest beggar and the richest billionaire are exactly equal in what they can physically take into the next life. Nothing. So the more you have, right, someone who's really wealthy, then the more that they're going to have to leave behind, having staggering amounts of wealth, property, jewels, cars, what have you, money, right? None of this is actually worth anything to a dead person. As for a very poor person, a beggar or something, well, they would have very little to leave behind in comparison. And someone who is not only wealthy, but of very high standing in a particular country or society, like say someone of royalty, for example, in some countries, the royalty is still highly revered and, regarded. So then if, let's say, a king or a queen passes, then they have this huge, ceremonial send-off, a huge funeral procession, right, with all the pomp and glitz and everything. But, all of those, covered with gold and jewels and, trumpets and horses and what have you, none of it can go with that person who has passed away. They can't bring anything with them, right? And afterwards, you could say, well, these things belong to so and so. They were very, they had a position of prestige. But even that fame and glory will be left behind. So in some cultures, and I'm going to tell you a little story in that sense, that people think that there's a custom of believing that the how do you say, the beloved departed person will need things in their afterlife. They need to be sent off, and they need to continue to be cared of in the kind of like belief in a spirit world, right? So in the Chinese Taoist custom, Tao, following the Tao, they have a custom of making all kinds of offerings that they send off with the departed person. And, in days of old, I guess maybe it would be relevant to those times. But these days, there's still a thriving kind of industry in countries in this part of the world. I'm not sure if you have in the US, where they specialize in making these kinds of offerings, which are then offered, with the cremation and so forth. And there's all kinds of things now. They have like paper hand phone models, I guess up-to-date models, or even like houses, paper houses, decorated, and cars, like maybe they think that the departed will need a nice car in their afterlife. So then they make models, paper models of like a sports car, fancy sports car, and all kinds of things, right? And then it's kind of sent off in fire, burning offerings, and with the prayer that the deceased, all these objects will accompany the deceased into the afterlife. And it's really an interesting custom. And no, they're not going to receive it. Maybe some spirits hanging around would kind of enjoy it, but that person that it's supposedly dedicated to, no, they've gone somewhere else. So what one does take along with us is the karma that we have created, the results of whatever positive or not so positive results. That's what we take along with us. On the other hand, for those with really great wisdom and understanding, then they already renounce whatever is material, and through the understanding of the nature of suffering, of impermanence, then they already renounce those material possessions way in advance, such as Shakyamuni Buddha, who gave up, a princely kingdom and wealth and riches, and went off into the forest to meditate, even sending his horse back, his horse and his personal attendant, sending them back to the palace, not keeping them. And Milarepa, who went off to meditate in the cave, right, who had with no possessions whatsoever. So they are the ones that really understand that one should really practice and make the best use of every breath that they have. And then we move on to the second point. So our wealth and possessions can't help us. And the next is to understand that our friends, our dear ones, our relatives cannot help as well. Friends and relatives cannot help. So I'll read out two verses from Shantideva. While I'm lying in bed, although surrounded by my friends and relatives, the feeling of life being severed will be experienced by me alone. When seized by Yama's messengers, what benefit will friends and relatives afford? My merit alone shall protect me then. But upon that, I have never relied. Yama is the reference to the Lord of Death in Sanskrit and Buddhist terms. So when seized by Yama's messengers, so the messengers of death is what it means, right? So I'll just read it out again. While I'm lying in bed, although surrounded by my friends and relatives, the feeling of life being severed will be experienced by me alone. When seized by Yama's messengers, what benefit will friends and relatives afford? My merit alone shall protect me then, but upon that I have never relied. So perhaps, we think that, oh, it's okay. I could give up all my wealth and my possessions and those objects that I even, those things that I was very attached to, and I know I can't take them with me. But to think, to be separated from our nearest and dearest maybe is a bit more tough. People who spend so many years of their relationship together, it is so difficult. But like just now, I was referring to my friend's mother who passed away from eating something, and the bacteria did something to her, and it's apparently was very tough going for her husband that she had been together with for a very long time. What was it? Like over 60 years or something, like a very, very long friendship and marriage, over 60 years that they had been together, that it was very, very tough for him to take, to see her in intensive care and then not being able to continue and to have to carry on alone. So, yeah, even no matter how many years someone has been close to us, at some point, then they have to go, isn't it? No matter how much sorrow is felt, that if we are fortunate enough that in that sense that at the time of death that you're lying on a bed surrounded by loving friends and family, and they say nice words or they're soothing and comforting. No matter how much we appreciate all the care that is shown, even up to the final minute, when death happens, one carries on alone. And it's so true then to bring back from last week that from that verse that the end of meeting is separation, right? As what Buddha had taught. So yeah, whether it's our family or friends or even pets, nowadays it's politically correct to say fur friends, right? Your beloved animal companions. We have very close bonds, close attachment. And, we sometimes people at the very end, they are very ill, but they still hold on for dear life, literally. They hold on and not wanting to let go because of these attachment to particular relationships, right? They can't bear to let go. When it's time to go, even no matter how much help and comfort it is to receive, like some people, even nowadays, the hospitals allow the pets to go into the hospital and all that. But no, the pet is left behind, the loved one is left behind, but then you go on alone, right? So again, in various cultures, there are practices to show that no, you can't sever these relationships. These relationships are permanent and they carry on and they will continue after death, right? So what I'm referring to is, for example, in olden times in India, I think these days, perhaps it's not legal to do it anymore. I don't know. Like when someone in a Indian family, typically from the Hindu background, when they die, typically referring only to the male, right? Not to the female. When the male dies, the husband dies, then it was a tradition for the bereaved wife to leap into the funeral pyre, into the flames, and to die together, and not be separated at death. But that's really, thinking in their minds that by jumping into the fire and dying, you're going along with your beloved husband. But you might, if the karma for attachment is really strong, you might, but not necessarily so. And then how it comes out on the other side, it's there's, it's not like, you emerge as husband and wife again, right? And also, this idea of holding back, wanting to show that the deceased person was very dear, and to want to display that show of attachment and bond to that person. In older Chinese customs also, there is one of, like, if someone is about to pass away, then surrounding the person who is about to pass away, and then they start wailing, and even if they're not really wailing, but then it is something that is acted out, as in, like, it becomes quite dramatic, of calling out and wailing and crying really loudly, and uttering words like, don't go, oh, don't go, and then this also continues with the funeral, that when time comes for the actual funeral ceremony, and they're removing the coffin or something, and then again there's a procession that follows behind, with people wailing and crying and acting it out in that sense. I'm sure they feel tremendous grief, but then it becomes loud, really a chorus of grieving sounds follows the deceased. And that's actually disturbing both to observe and disturbing to the one who has departed, right? What do these actually achieve? It might really achieve something for the living, but for the one who has left, it's not a peaceful death. It's not peaceful. It's disturbing, and we'll go into that. Probably should be by next week. I think next week is already the 4th week. Yes. So the point here is that even our loved ones cannot follow us when we die, and we go on by ourselves, and by ourselves alone. Okay. So that's the second point. And then on to the third one. Our body cannot help. Even this physical body that we have, which we cherish. We cherish very much. We will have to leave it behind when we die. Rinpoche, Lama Zopa Rinpoche has said that, in talking about this subject, we worship our body like a god. We really, look after our physical selves very well, isn't it? From morning to night, we keep it clean, we wash ourselves, we want to smell nice, we put on, hello? We put on nice clothes. We want to, keep everything nice, eat really good food, right? We pamper ourselves, right? Take vitamins, health supplements to keep ourselves healthy, do exercises, right? Sports, keep ourselves fit. And, we decorate ourselves also with nice jewelry, perhaps, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how life is as a human being, and not really wanting to judge whether it's good or bad. But the point is that we spend a lot of time in engaging in this kind of ways, whatever is available to us, to take care of our body, because we want to preserve it, right? We want to preserve it. We want to make it attractive. And, we want to keep it going, right? There are very few who would be like, various kinds of meditators of the past who would put this at the bottom of their list, And again, I bring up the example of Milarepa. So Milarepa, went off to meditate in various caves, and he had whatever he was wearing, which eventually turned into rags. And, he didn't care that they had turned into rags. And he also didn't spend too much time thinking about what he should eat or stuff like that. He ate the bare minimum. It is said, if you read the stories, that he would just pluck nettles from the outside the cave that was growing around him, and he would just cook the nettles, and that was what he ate. And that's seems to be the reason why when he's portrayed in tankas, that he comes out looking green. Not like the Grinch, but Milarepa has a green coloring because of having too much nettle food. Or like, green Tara, right? Tara is green. We can think of, other examples like Lama Tsongkhapa. He just devoted his life to meditating and writing. And if we read his life story, he just subsisted on eating the Tibetan barley flour, roasted barley flour and tea, and he didn't, eat much else, it seems. And coming closer to more contemporary times, then you might have heard of Geshe Lama Konchog, who, the kind of like a documentary, The Unmistaken Child, is based on, Geshe Lama Konchog reincarnating. And he had gone off as well to meditate in caves in the Tsum Valley in northern part of Nepal, in the mountains. Found a cave and went into meditation. And it's really a great meditator. And he also took very little, apparently like one prayer book or text or something. And also that whatever he wore was what he had. And he didn't care about, getting new clothes and those kind of things. So there are people who have been able to give this up and show the example of achieving realizations in that very life, right? when we die, right, our consciousness will soon leave the body. And then the body, the physical body, is what is left behind. And after a while, for some people, it's quicker than others. It starts to decay quickly. It starts to smell, and then if cremated, then all that is left is a heap of ash, right? And then there are people who, because the body is so fragile, they succumb, drowning to fire or other kinds of unfortunate accidents or disasters. And, at that point, the body becomes unrecognizable, right? So just reflecting along those lines, that this I, this me that we so strongly identify with, right, is of no use when we die. We will have to leave it behind, right? The consciousness will separate from the body. So the conclusion from here, what we should come to see, is that to rely on Dharma practice, and we have to rely on pure Dharma practice, and only that, well, whether you call it Dharma or spiritual practice. So, going through all this kind of reflections is not intended to be a fatalistic kind of exercise, right? And that at the end of it, we come out feeling hopeless and more worried or depressed. These reflections should help us to really see that we are impermanent, and to wake us up to the importance that we should care about our lives while we still can. We should take care of our mind, and taking care of our mind is really the insurance that we need to depart peacefully, without fear, having no regrets, and to not suffer, or to minimize the suffering as much as possible. I might have brought this up last week, but just to bring it up again at this point, that Rinpoche had taught about attitudes towards death, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. For the purest Dharma practitioners, it is like going home or going on a picnic, thinking about death. Death is like going on a picnic. I mean, it's not something to, be fearful of at all, right? Almost to like welcome it. The intermediate Dharma practitioner is able to die quite happy, without worry about the next life, about themselves. At the level of the least Dharma, the least level, shall we say, they die not worried or afraid. And this is because of having been able to do a lot of purification, to accumulate a lot of merit, and therefore to leave without fear or regret. And this is so apart from how the ordinary person would feel, which is to feel afraid, right? To feel anxious and worried. So, it's up to us, right? It's up to you to choose which level you'd like to be at the very least, to have as little worry and fear as possible. How's everyone doing? Okay. All right. And so I've got another meditation to offer. Are we keen to get into another meditation that we did the last time? And just like the last time, I thought that you could repeat this as kind of your homework, the meditation for those who are interested in some practice. And then because I'm talking through this and I'm going to send you the script, but if you prefer to be talked through this, then since these sessions are recorded, then maybe one way is you could play back the recording, right? YouTube or whatever it is, and then you can use that like my guiding in that sense to do the meditation as well. So these are your options. So our meditation now is going to be reflecting on how the time of death is not definite and to let go of strong attachment. And just excuse me for 1 second. All right, so if you will now sit and prepare to do a short meditation, sitting comfortably in your chair or if you're on a cushion, and to adjust your motivation. So you should allow your eyelids to droop and to have your hands in your lap and to just have your shoulders also relax. Try to bring your head, kind of comfortable, but align with your back. I'm taking a few minutes to reflect on death and that the time of death is not certain, that I can die any time. May I come to a deeper understanding so that I can take good care of myself, of my mind while I'm still alive, and so that I can then take good care of those around me. So now start to observe your breath. Start to take some breaths in and out, gently and quietly. And you can count 8 cycles, breathing in and out as 1 cycle, counting up to 8, focusing on your breath. Think of how breathing in and breathing out tells you that you are still in this perfect human rebirth, this life that is so precious, and that there'll come a day when the breath will stop. There will come a time when death comes, but we don't know when. Everyone will die, but we don't know when. It could be any time. The time of death is uncertain, and many people have come and gone in that way. There are so many examples to think of. I'm going to read out a list of examples, and at the end of that, you can pause to just reflect on these. Many people leave on a trip, traveling to a place far away, going on a trip. But there is no certainty if they will return home again. The time of death is uncertain in this way. Many people go to sleep, but die before they awaken. Many people start to eat a meal, but die before they finish. Many people go off to work, but die before returning home. Many people are born, but die before reaching adulthood. Many people go out for sports, but die before the game is over. Many people buy new clothes, but die before they can wear them. Many people start to read a book, but die before they finish. Many people plan a project, but die before they can complete it. Many people go to war, but die before they can come back. Many people breathe out, but die before they can breathe in. Just as you see or hear of such things happening around you, near you, or far away, these very same things can happen to you. There is no guarantee that they will not. According to your karma, death will come sooner or later. How fragile this body is, prone to injury, illness, as fragile as a water bubble. So reflect on this for another minute or so. Come to the conclusion that it is so important to practice the Dharma, to engage in virtuous practice, to avoid or to give up those negative actions that obstruct creating merit, that cause negative results, to strive towards habits and actions of body, speech, and mind that bring positivity and peace, that will not harm yourself or others. So take another moment or so to come to a conclusion for yourself. And then you can open your eyes and we end this meditation. And you can just stretch yourself out and wiggle yourself a little bit just to bring yourself back. And yeah, so is everyone okay? So just to review that today we have come to or gone through all those points on the 9-point meditation of remembering death, and we have finished those 9 points with each of those conclusions and reflecting that today that the time of death is uncertain, and that also that it is only religious practice, the interest in spiritual practice, in the Dharma that will help, and therefore that is the motivation and the encouragement for us to want to quickly look into some of these things that we can bring into our lives, and to look at things that we can give up quite soon, or with a plan or an idea or a wish at least. Especially to think that since this body is so fragile and the causes of death are many, then we should not be complacent or to take our own lives for granted, right? Is there any question before we end off for today that anyone would like to ask? And then if I will be sending across the file that you might like to make sure to copy and use for the suggested homework for meditation and mindfulness practices until the next session. Okay. So looks like everyone's okay. Then let me just press send. Yep. There it goes. Okay, then we'll have questions. Yeah, everyone's okay. So then we'll have just two more sessions, and going more next time into, so if we like talking about, oh, I'm definitely going to die, then what am I supposed to do? What suggestions are there for practice? What kind of takeaway things do we have? So we'll go into some of the things that we can reflect more on, or particular steps that we can take, and then also to look at the process of dying itself. If you're interested to know more about that, then that's what we will carry on into next time. Okay. So let's then close with our prayers, shall we? If there's no questions. Oh, Lakshmi. Sorry, I didn't see that. Go ahead.
No problem, Venerable. Thank you so much. Venerable, I'm from India. For us, death is taboo. We don't speak about death. It's put away. So my mother she's bedridden. She's 90. Um, she's not ill, but she's got broken bones and things like that. She wants to live another 10 years. I mean, is it fair to say I could help familiarize her with that? Is it all right to socialize the idea with her? We never speak about it. So this is something that has been going on in my mind. Um, it's not about the quantity of life, right? It's also about quality of life. So is there any role is it prudent to do anything about it? Thank you.
That's a really important question to ask, and thank you very much for bringing that up. Um, in terms of the run of this program, then the last session, we're asked to look at, besides thinking about our own impermanence, then how do we help others through that period? And so we'll get more into it. However, just for this time, then I understand the situation, and it's actually, if she's not really with, it doesn't sound like she's got any heavy sickness at the moment, other than, being unable to move. And if someone has that kind of zest or wish to continue living, then that's good, because there could be others who will say all the time that they want to die, and they'll just keep moaning that they want to die. And so if she is still optimistic in her mind, then that's not a bad thing, that's something to build on. But then it is important to, did you
Sorry,
raise
she
your
has dementia. Yeah, sorry, she has dementia.
ah
She has memory lapse. She doesn't
mm,
remember much, but of course, I spend every day with her, so she remembers me and my sister. So
mm.
yeah, she's in La La Land. She's very blissful. She's very happy.
Well, so with dementia, then it's difficult to bring the message across, isn't it? And so I would say that perhaps, while the topic of death is important, then perhaps at this point it is better to prepare your own mind on how to deal with all these different kinds of situations. Because if you talked about it to her, it sounds then if she has dementia, then she's not going to remember anything, or she's going to remember very little, or it might upset her, right? So, however long that she carries on for, whether as she wishes, the length of years she mentioned, or due to other reasons that it doesn't go that long, we don't know, right? You don't know. Then it's best to make it peaceful and comfortable. I will bring up various ideas on what we're advised to do to help others near the time of death. That might be helpful during the last session. We should definitely get there, right? Our prayers for that. And then be able to go into that in more detail. But if you started to tell her like death is certain and the time of death is uncertain, she will be greatly upset, right? So instead, to just make things comfortable and to find other, as we would say, skillful means to make the time beneficial for her. And as I said, let's go into that at the end of this course. Okay, is that all right?
Thank you. Absolutely. I think that's brilliant. Thank you so much. There's no
No,
point
you're
disturbing
welcome.
her mind.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk more about that. Thank you. Okay. So then we shall close with a dedication prayer. That's all right. So due to all the merit that we have accumulated through working our way through this precious Lamrim teaching on the 9 points of meditating on remembering death, that it's really very beneficial for our own minds, and by benefiting us, it enables us to benefit others and to bring more peace to those that we care about, as well as to send out that kind of energy out into the world, and to dedicate for our minds to generate these kind of growth in our learning, our development of wisdom and compassion more and more and more. So let's just read this. Due to this virtue, may I quickly become a Guru Buddha and lead all transmigratory beings without exception to that state. May the precious supreme bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. So may we have the blessing to live another week and be able to come back next week and on, and to just reflect on these points. Especially, I've given a mindfulness practice. So just no pressure, anytime that there's a feeling of discomfort comes up for us, then learn to step away from it for a while, right? There's no pressure. We just go slowly, slowly, okay? And that's the best kind of course of action to take, right? Thank you so much, and see you soon with all our hopes and prayers, right? Thank you.